autism spectrum disorder refers to a broad range of conditions that are characterized by challenges in speech and language and communication, restrictive patterns of behavior, along with social skills. But I think what's important to remember is that the most prevalent characteristic of autism is that it's a superpower.
When I think about autism awareness and our students in our autism program, I think about being provided with opportunities to learn new things. I've learned cool facts about dinosaurs and the solar system. I've learned to speak, write, and read in foreign languages. I've experienced detailed drawings of the Statue of Liberty and engaged in communication in wonderful ways. I could go on and on. Our students with autism are our teachers.
I've been working with students in the Fresno Unified Autism Program for the last few years now, and I've met so many wonderful students with so many unique personalities. And when it comes to children with autism, you really need to listen to them in order to understand who they are, because the way that they communicate might not be the way that you and I communicate. And so it's really important to observe and pay attention to how they react in order to figure out what they do want to say, and just to get a better idea of how you can interact with them and become a part of their world.
I like to work for things I like, just like you work for money.
When I work with children with autism, I think it's really important to understand what motivates them. And each child is different. We've had children motivated by a string, motivated by the phone book, by Statues of Liberty, which he made by the millions, shiny, sparkly things, the alphabet. One little boy we know knows about 5 different versions of the alphabet, different languages. So when you know what motivates them, then it's easy to make that kind of a reward for doing work. And it's a lot of fun. It's really delightful to kind of go through.
People diagnosed with autism learn differently, but they have the same emotions as you and I.
When it comes to working with autistic children, I think it is very important to look at the child first and not the disability, not label it as a disability. I think it is very important to work to make sure that the child can function in the society that is not created for them. And I also believe the famous quote by Frederick Douglass, he stated that it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. So I just think we should just all work together to be the best for our children.
There's a lot of things interesting about autism. Behavior is one of my favorite things about learning about autism. It can always be changed or replaced. But something I really have in my mind all the time is that autism is not a disease. It does not need to be cured. It's just something that needs to be understood by people.
Using alternative communication for our students is really beneficial. You can either use a single picture, a communication board, or an advanced device.
So one thing that I learned about, one thing that autism has taught me is to be patient and to think creatively. And individuals with autism, don't change for the world, let the world change for you.
Hello, so I'm speaking as a parent perspective, a mother of a child who has autism, 21-year-old, and my topic that came to my mind is advocating. Advocate for your own child, because we are the ones who know our children better. And in school, we need to advocate, we need to ask for what we think will benefit our children.
Sometimes you don't understand me.
A common misconception is that individuals with autism want to misbehave. This is not true. Although behavior challenges are common in autism, behavior always serves a function. Some of those functions may include sensory, like something to stimulate one's senses, escape assignment, or escape a person, access to attention, or access to a tangible like a ball or a favorite toy, sometimes even food. It's important to determine the function of behavior so that we are able to find a replacement behavior to substitute it.
So some people may think that students with autism it's hard for them to learn things, but I think really what we should be looking at and maybe thinking about is our methods of teaching. Maybe we should try teaching them in ways that allow them to learn more easily. That way things can flow for them better.
What is H2O?
Make water.
It makes water. Do you know what dihydrogen monoxide is?
Make water.
That's right. Dihydrogen monoxide is water.
Making friends with other kids is hard. It's easier to put a low sentence and want to treat it, but I don't know how. Anyhow.
So the misconception that I'd like to mention was that working with our students, they're less likely to want to have friends or make friends or even to be socialized. And it's very difficult for our children to understand what that, because we take it for granted that it's so easy, that it's so in our nature to make friends and socialize, where our children don't have that ability and need that bridging or that love and care, that they actually do want to be a part of a community but don't understand what those steps are. So the example that I would probably give is that it's sort of like dancing. A lot of steps, very difficult for even the common person to even perform, but imagine our kids and them having that difficulty. So us as teachers, parents, and community have to take them to a slow dance, bring it down to their level, and they will blossom and grow and want to be friends.
3,000 plus 675. Can you tell me what that one is?
3,675.
Awesome. It's really important that we set the bar high for individuals with autism. We must believe that they will succeed. We have to speak life to them and about them. We have to tell them that they can do it, they will do it, and during the process that they are doing it. We must speak it into existence prior to the outcome, instead of waiting for the outcome before we speak it to existence. We have to dismiss the label and recognize that they too are able to achieve anything and everything. You teach me some math? Here, teach me some math. I want to learn about that 1 trillion, 1 billion, quintillion stuff. Can you teach that to me?
What's 1 million? Plus 1 billion.
1 million plus 1 billion.
Equals.
Okay, 1 million plus 1 billion is?
1 million and 1 billion.
So what is it?
1 billion million.
I would like people to know that having autism does not make them any different from people who do not have the disability. And that's why I believe that we should all be treated equally.
Something I find interesting about working with autism students is that they're easily pleased. Like, they're motivated to do their work, like the most simplest thing that they see or they want, they would work for it. For example, a student he likes trains, so then we'll give him a video of a train or the train, and then he'll work for the train. So then every time he finishes his assignment, he gets the train or he'll watch more of the video.
They have a special sense where they could learn about you as much as you learn about them. Therefore, if you believe in them and working closely with them, you gain a trust from them and also achieve a high expectation from them.
Autism is not a choice. Acceptance is. What if the opposite was true? What if acceptance wasn't a choice, but autism was?
Did you know that the first signs of autism could be found in babies as young as 6 months, with the average diagnosis happening around 4 years of age? And Temple Grandin is one of the great teachers. She is autistic, and she is a teacher and an author and a great speaker. And one of the quotes I really loved from her was that the world needs different kinds of minds to work together, and that we are all different, not less. And I try to carry that with me in my classroom.
Hi, so I'm going to talk about a question that I get asked a lot. Usually it's, why is he flapping, or why are they flapping? And I'd like to talk about that. The reason really is stimulation or self-regulation. So have you ever felt super excited, or you hear your favorite song on the radio and you just want to get up and dance or move to it? Well, that could be why they're flapping in that moment. They're just super excited, so they want to get that emotion out, and so the way they do it is by flapping. Or it could be that they're frustrated, or it's a bad emotion, and so they could also do that for that reason. So it just depends on the circumstance. And they all sometimes my students like to watch repetitive videos, or they like to do repetitive movements, and it's because it's most familiar to them. So have you ever had like a bad day and you just want to go home and give your mom a big hug? Well, it's because she's familiar to you, and she's safe, and that's something that they might feel as well with the different movements that they do.
The one thing that drew me to working in the autism program was definitely the kids. Before, where I was working at, I wasn't working with too many kids, but I love working with kids now. Being that I do have a 2-year-old son, I also got into the autism program because of that. I feel like spending time with kids and teaching them various things is very stress relieving for me. Also, one thing that I did learn with working with children on the spectrum is you have to have a lot of patience. It has taught me to be very patient, and since I've been working with the students in my class, I've really enjoyed it a lot.
Hi, I've been with the autism program for over 4 years, and some people might not think that they remember you or they're remember their friends, but they really look forward to seeing their friends. They'll even call for certain children, and they look forward to seeing their teachers, and even the next year they remember you.
All autism students want to learn, be accepted, and be part of the Kirk community.
Autism requires unconditional love. Autism is inspiring, it's hopeful, yet it's challenging.
I think there's two things that I would want people to know. First, I would want people to recognize that we're all people first, and that we all have something to give. And the other thing that I would like people to know is that everybody can learn, and just because they can't show what they know in the way that you might think of as typical, maybe they can't write a 3-paragraph essay, but they can still, given the right tools, show you what they've learned and what they know.
Do you know that 1 in 68 children are diagnosed with autism every year? Boys are 5 times more likely than girls to get diagnosed with autism. Autism affects all nationalities. Doesn't matter what religion, what nationality, what sex you are, it affects everyone on the broad spectrum.
Get set, go!
I've learned a lot, especially growth. I've seen kids from preschool, now in my class, 6th grade. So I've seen them grow verbally, mentally, emotionally, physically. So I'm just grateful.
What I feel about Autism Awareness Week and autism. Autism to me is not a disability. It's an exceptionality. And I've been blessed to be able to work with kids on the spectrum. I don't even like saying kids, autistic kids. It's something that, it's a gift that they have, and they just see the world in a different way than we do. And I love the fact of how you can develop relationships with kids who are on the spectrum. And I love the connection that you can make with them if you're willing to connect. Because with those kids, the beauty is you get out of them what you put in.
Although April is Autism Awareness Month, we need to be mindful that autism awareness should be celebrated every day of the year. We have to come together and stop staring and start caring about individuals with exceptionalities.
Well, I think it's really important that we frame and categorize and label kids properly. And that is to say, I've always called them uniquely gifted. So although we have this category called SPED, what people need to know is our kids can do much, much more than the average person would think they can. So since we are the #1 autistic program in Fresno Unified, since we have the best supports than any other school in Fresno Unified, one of the things we have to leverage is how do we see our kids? So I want the community to know that we are an inclusive school, which means when we see opportunities for our kids to go into various classes, opportunities, programs, we are pushing them to do that because we want to extend their potential. So here at the Great Kirk, our kids are safe, but they're uniquely gifted. We'll let everyone else call them sped if they like to.
Good.